Hey guys, it's Stephanie.
I'm Trey.
This is your weekly dose of BS, and today we have a lot to
This is a
cover.
special weekly dose of
It
BS.
really is. We usually record a few days in advance, and I called Trey and I'm like, I feel like we have to record after this whole Scandoval episode comes out because I know everyone's so excited about it.
Well, the last few weeks, I feel like we've called each other on because we normally run like Monday or Tuesday. We
Uh-huh.
call each other on Wednesday. We're like, damn it, everything good happens on a
I
Wednesday.
know every time we do the podcast, the day
Yeah.
after, all hell breaks loose, and we've already done it and talked about it.
And by the
So
next week, we're over it and we're on to something else.
yeah,
So
so
we
here
were
we
like, we got it.
are.
We got to get on it. So we are on YouTube Live right now. If you don't know, you can see our smiling little faces on YouTube every week. We record these in video format as well. So if you want to see us instead of just hear us, you can go see us on YouTube.
Yeah.
You can find us at Weekly Dose of BS. So I'm really excited today because this is not just going to be our conversation and our opinion. We're going to have other people chime in on this as well and get their comments and takes on it. But I just want to first hear your professional opinion on
Oh,
last
shoot.
night's episode, knowing what you know, like about behind the scenes and how these shows work. What did you think of everyone's performance last night?
Well, first of all, I thought it was one of the best episodes I have ever seen on Bravo. It was very real and raw. You can tell that it wasn't staged or manipulated. It was real time, real feelings, and real emotions. And it was one of the most fascinating things I have ever watched in my life. I thought Ariana was such a queen. I
Mhm.
love that she gave it to him and didn't hold back because she was on TV.
Yeah.
And I think everybody in America is rooting for her. You know who else? Actually, all the girls, whenever I sat there and watched it, I was like, these are the kind of people that you want in your life as friends. Every
Mhm.
single person on that cast really rallied and supported her. And it just felt like such a girl power moment
Yeah.
to have such devastation and then to watch all these amazing friends come in and just rally behind somebody. I thought Sheena was amazing at the end. um I thought Tom Sandoval looked horrible. Tom Schwartz didn't look that good either.
They did themselves no favors, and you could tell they really felt like they did a good job. Like they probably walked away from filming like, okay, I kind of nailed that. The whole mental breakdown at Lisa's
Yeah.
house where he went to the window and just couldn't stop crying, that was I have no words for that actually, because they're not nice ones. I don't believe it. I think him and Schwartz went in with a plan because I think it was the first scene they filmed together. Really, this whole episode was girls yelling at Tom and then Tom talking to Tom.
And
And
then
then Tom and Raquel.
yeah, and then Raquel was smart just to dip out after one scene. She was like, okay, this
Well, I
isn't
think she
working.
was like, that didn't go well. They
No,
were almost like just holding each other too on that bed. It was
it
very
was
weird.
so weird. It
But
was so weird.
you can tell that Tom and Tom were like, all right, how are we gonna do this? And they went in and Tom had some hot words like, it's so relatable, man. Like, yeah, you're being so vulnerable. It was like, shut up. Like it was very hard.
But also, you I mean, there's a part of me, I know everyone's gonna get mad at me, but there's a part of me that's like, poor Tom Schwartz. I mean, he really should not be such a good friend, right? I don't even know if he's a good friend because I feel like you should be like, dude, I'm not holding your secret for you. You need to let her know, this is nothing to do with, But instead, he was loyal to this guy and he completely fell as well. It was
Yeah,
painful to
I
watch.
agree and I disagree because he has obviously a business interest with him.
Uh-huh.
But then if you're his ride or die, you're gonna die with him.
Well, yeah, he's totally dying with him.
But then you're also kind of like approving of the behavior.
Uh-huh.
It's a
It,
hard,
it's
but when you're
really
in
messy.
business with someone, like, how do you do that?
I think Bravo is gonna okay, we're gonna read some of the things popping up. I think Bravo is gonna need to come up with something to have those same viewers numbers next season. I'm interested after watching it. Definitely Tom Sandoval is coming back. I don't know if Raquel's coming back because she kind of went,
And where the hell is Raquel gonna go work?
well, I mean, I'm
I
just
think
saying,
Raquel needs to come
who
back.
is gonna film with her besides, I mean, especially if her and Sandoval aren't together, who is gonna, I mean, you have to have people to film with. That is
No, but they're gonna sell her on it. They're gonna sell her like you need to recover your reputation and somehow bounce back from this. That production will get her.
But no,
They'll
but
get her.
here's as somebody who's been on the other side of
Hmm.
filming, there have been times where, there's one person who maybe has one person that likes them on our cast. And you get calls like certain people do, like, hey, we need you to film with this person and be nice to this person. They have nobody. You can't just have one person. If nobody's talking to her,
Right.
then there's like, I don't see how she films.
Because I think the world's fascinated right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's very, very fascinating. And
Mhm.
also, like, what a bunch of idiots.
Well, I don't really think Andy likes her either. That was kind of the impression I got on Watch Happens Live last night because Ariana said, or I think Andy mentioned that the news broke yesterday that Tom and Rachel have broken up, and she was like, "Well, she's still like writing letters and sending them to her house,"
It's so
and he was like,
crazy.
"From the mental health facility."
It's
Like
so
he didn't really believe it either.
It's so crazy. I also got the hint that Andy was not too happy with Tom either because he brought
No,
up him doing the one-on-one
with
with
Howie Mandel.
uh-huh. Yeah.
Well, that's like rule number one in the Bravo universe, right? Oh, someone said, Vincent said, I think it was all fake just because ratings sucked.
The only reason I will say I don't think that is because you would have to be a real big fool to be Tom and Rachel and be
Yes.
like, "This is a great idea. I'm gonna be the most hated people in America, so
Yeah.
you get your ratings up."
Well, I
Like,
think they had a different plan to bring ratings up. They were going to announce this at the reunion. I think that was their initial plan
well,
to get them the
I
next season.
well, I think I don't think they were ever gonna come out about the affair. I think he was going to try to break up with her before the reunion and then, like, take a month and then be like,
Yes.
"Oh, now Rachel and I are dating." That
Yes.
would have been the smart thing to do. It just blew up in his face before he had
Mhm.
time to do it. Trey, you said I forget where you heard, but you said that you heard after she saw it on the phone, Ariana, that she messaged production right away.
Yes. There's a really good article in Variety. Um, Someone that worked on Real House of Dallas posted this on Facebook and just said it was really well written. And it was some people from production went and did an interview with Variety and kind of explained how they filmed this. And one of the guys said that he was, just through the course of doing the show, he'd always been Ariana's like contact person. And as soon as she found out, she texted him and they had cameras at her house the next day to record all this. So they literally, everyone that had been filming the show months prior dropped what they were doing and got cameras to her house.
Yeah, you can tell too that it happened right away because I felt like everyone was not prepared, which is how it should be.
Yes.
Because you can't sit around and have a week to prepare yourself and what you're gonna say, and, I mean, even whenever they had the scene with Tom and Rachel, she was like, "How does your family feel about me?" And then I think he, at some point, came back and said, "They love you," and she thought he said, "I love you," and then she said, "I love you too," and I was like, "Oh my
I about
lord."
threw up.
And then yes, it was so bizarre. I'm like, "You guys are fools. You guys are absolute fools."
I just
It's so yeah, it was shocking.
Okay, so Stephanie, I want your opinion, but I also want our friends on YouTube Live, I want their opinion as well. Why do you feel like this was such a huge deal? Like, there's been big Bravo stories in the
Yeah.
past. Jen Shaw, Erica Jane, Teresa going to jail. Like, there's been big stuff, but this was like big. Was it because Bravo pushed it out so far and wide? Is it because of the audience they have?
Well, I think it would be, okay, I think I was thinking this actually this morning. I think it was so big because they were all on a show together as friends. I think if you're on, say, our show and, you know, one of our spouses cheated with a cast member, it would be a huge deal like this, right?
Yeah.
Because you know the people very intimately because you've been
Mhm.
watching them for so long. And this was such a big deal because they had been together, for a very, very long time and they were committed, had a house together. It was almost like they were married.
Right.
And it wasn't so much like boyfriend cheating on a girlfriend. It almost felt like a spouse. It felt like a married couple who
Mhm.
their lives just completely exploded and you're sitting there watching it. And I think the betrayal that she was such good friends with
Right.
Rachel is what made it so crazy for everybody. And then you watch it and now you watch it with a different lens. Like I watched this whole season with a different lens. Like Tom was always trying to build up Rachel and make her seem like she was just the best thing and she had changed so much. And when you watch it in that lens, you see that he was setting it up for them to be together the next year.
Mhm. That's true.
And she came in, I think, trying to have like a new lease on her life where she had, she was like this new person and had
Right.
all this self. It was
It was all
very
very
much,
hypocritical.
very much staged for them to be together the following year. was very interesting.
So Storm Dora said, I think Tom and Ariana were always a mismatch. She'll be so much better off. I think she is better off. I read somewhere that it's reported that she's made almost $1 million from the endorsement deals and other things that she's done since this story broke. Good for her.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
good
she has
for
that
her.
sandwich
Yes.
shop. What's that sandwich shop called?
Crap. I know they're going to tell me, I cannot remember anything like that, but,
I know it has the word her in it. Maybe it's the word she. I don't know. Someone knows. Let us
somebody
know.
knows, let us know with the sandwich, but I think she's going to kill it. I mean, she already is. Yeah,
yeah.
she's already killing it. But
Absolutely.
she's going to make a lot of money because a lot of companies are going to want to get behind her. It's good press for them too.
Oh, for sure. And they have that little jingle with Uber now. That was
Oh,
great.
yeah.
That played 1 million times during the episode last night. Do you think pulled into Sonic for a tea and burrito to watch? Thank you so
Ooh,
much,
thank you,
Allison. That sounds
Allison.
great. What kind
I
of
feel
burrito did you
so
get?
hungry. It's a breakfast burrito, I'm sure. That
But, like,
sounds
was it
so
sausage?
good.
Was it bacon? Do you think, just knowing the high level narcissist that Tom is, do you think he will go to BravoCon? And do you think someone will throw a chair at him?
So you know how Lisa Rinna went and she got booed? I think it will be like 10 times worse than that for him. I think he will go and everyone will like,
They will genuinely want to, assault him, I think.
yes. I mean, right now, if you look, I follow all these like Bravo accounts, and every time he's there performing with his whatever his band name is, Tom
Mhm.
Sandoval and the Most Extras or
Yep.
whatever, like people are holding up signs, they're yelling like about Ariana. I mean, I literally would hate to be him right now.
There's some line, Andy referenced this last night on Watch What Happens Live. There's some line in a song that he changes to reference that he's not with Raquel anymore either. Like his last 3 shows. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
What was the most cringeworthy part of the episode last night for you?
I would say whenever they were telling each other, "I love you," whenever she heard him wrong, and then he was like, "I love you too." Anyways, you could
And he's like, "I
just
didn't say
tell,
that."
and he was like, "I can't kiss you." It was just
He
it
said,
was
"I can't
so
kiss you because cameras are here."
yes, it was so cringy.
What I thought was very cringeworthy. Well, I mean,
I don't
honestly,
know,
anytime
I
he opened
feel
his
like
mouth
if
was bad.
you are gonna do this for 7 months, like, just
Then
be
go for it.
authentic, just kiss. Like, everyone knows that you've done much more than kiss, and but don't hold back if you haven't been for 7 months, just go for it.
He said something in his first confessional very early on in the episode last night about the recording on his phone, and he was like, "I wouldn't normally keep that." And it was like, "What do you mean you wouldn't normally keep that? Like, this has happened before and you just forgot to delete it or move it to a different file?"
Yeah.
Like, that was the
It was
wrong thing to say.
very, very strange.
He has really bad friends.
Yes.
Like, I
Yes.
think that's what this boils down to. He has really bad friends that are letting him continue to talk.
No, it's so bad. No, you're right. And he said it wasn't the first time, right? He said that there's been like 2 other
There was
times.
another
There's
girl.
definitely gonna be more than 2 other times. I feel like he is wait, here we go. Strawberry cupcake because Ariana wanted to present a facade of a strong power couple who had it all together when she actually never did. It was no secret they had issues in the relationship, but they were very downplayed. I mean, I definitely think that they together wanted to be like this like Bravo powerhouse on their show, and it's always probably easier to come in as a couple. I think that she genuinely loved him.
Well, and I get what she was saying of like, if you don't want to be in the relationship, don't be in the relationship. If you
Yeah.
want to fight for the relationship, stay in the relationship. So I think she was saying, I was fighting for our relationship and I
Yeah.
wasn't going to leave you. I
Yeah.
wasn't going to give up.
And I get protecting something that you feel is very important to you. Like if she thought that they were going to be together forever, even if they were having problems and she did not want to break up, I get trying to protect. It's very, very hard to have your relationship out in the open and to feel so exposed. So I get why they would want to protect, why especially she would want to protect that. I think that being on the show together as a couple was probably had perks for both of them. Also, they had a house together. It just got really, really messy. And it's hard to separate. I think Tom was just too much of a pussy, honestly, to break up with her. So
Yeah.
that's my opinion. I think I think people would respect if he was like, I don't want to be with you anymore. Let's break up. I want to maintain our friendship. I think people would respect that. It's the fact that he did not want to be with her. And instead of just putting his big boy pants on, he decided to have something on the side.
This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp.
So today we're talking about this whole Scandoval thing, and I promise you he is going to need some better help because I would hate to be him right now.
Absolutely.
And I think he needs somebody to talk through everything that's going on.
I feel like I need some better help after that episode.
You know, I actually do too. That was very stressful. That was very, very stressful. I love therapy. I think everyone should get it. And I'm not even joking. I do think Scandoval should get some better help and some therapy. What I love about therapy is it really helps you find out, for me, like what patterns I have that aren't necessarily the best for me and how to work through those and how to come out better on the other side. I think a lot of times you're so used to doing the same things that don't work over and over and over again in your life. So recognizing why you do those things, where they stem from, and how to create new, healthier habits has been something that's really helped me through therapy.
I think it's also important to not just lean on therapy in the bad times, but also in the good times as well.
Mm-hmm.
And learn those ways to reinforce yourself in healthy, positive ways. So when those bad moments arise, you can kind of lean back on that.
Yeah, absolutely. BetterHelp is entirely online, so you don't have to leave your house and go visit a therapist. It's designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited for your schedule. It's also a fraction of the cost of traditional therapy, which I personally love. You just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched to a licensed therapist, and you can switch therapists at any time for no additional charge.
Find more balance with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/weeklydose today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/weeklydose. Speaking of another couple that's breaking up that enrages me, Kim Zolciak and Corey Bierman. They have filed for divorce. They've both filed separately. They've both filed that they want sole custody of the kids. And she is now trying to paint him out to be a bad person. And I think not a single person is buying that. What are your thoughts on this?
Okay, so I did not really watch Don't Be Tardy, but I did watch Atlanta back in the day whenever they were on. And he always came across as just like a very nice, solid guy.
He was just a good Southern boy.
Like that, he always came across. Now, I do not know him personally, so I could be wrong, but he always seemed to have a good head on his shoulders. Didn't he adopt her 2 daughters?
Yes.
And I don't know. I've always kind of been a fan of Croy's. I
Mhm.
think he seems just like a genuinely good guy. And divorce, I have, a lot of friends who've gotten divorced, and it brings out a really nasty side of people a lot of times. And I think people don't know what to do with their hurt and their feelings. And instead of dealing with them, they kind of go off and attack each other. And that's what's happening.
Okay, so I'm going to read you this TMZ article.
Okay.
This is the newest set of mud thrown their way. Kim Zolciak says she witnessed her estranged husband, Corey Bierman, smoking pot, and she's afraid for her kids' safety and has asked a judge to step in and force him to get a drug test. She wants him to get a 5-panel hair follicle drug screening, and she wants the judge to enforce that he not get a haircut or remove any of his hair until the screening is complete.
But but again, I remember watching her drive with a solo cup of wine in her hand.
And a cigarette in the other.
I mean, like, that's why I don't get, unless you are baby Jesus. I don't know. I do not love when people attack each other who are going through a divorce. It's hard for the kids, and I think it just makes it so messy. And Dr. Phil had this saying that he used that was like, you have to love your children more than you hate your ex.
Mhm.
And I totally agree with that. Tiffany said, I don't understand how Kim is asking for spousal support when she said in an interview once, I think on the show, that she makes more money than him. I think she would. I mean, I don't know how much he made in the NFL, but
I
he's
just looked it up.
obviously okay. Trey knows everything.
So I can tell you. So from 2008 to 2011, he made 1.8 million.
Okay.
From 2012 to 2014, he made 3.1.
Okay.
2015, he made 1.9. And then 2017, he made 885,000. So let's just do some math real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Take out
6 million.
taxes, take out manager fees, $3 million. $3 million is not a lot of money.
Well,
to last you 10 years.
So I definitely think she, especially with that show, I don't know how they paid whenever that show was going
Mhm.
on. I'm guaranteeing you that she probably was. If they paid everybody, she was definitely the one that made the most.
Yes.
But I don't know how that show worked payment wise. I will say they were on for so long. There's no way she wasn't making $1 million a year
I
at
do know
least.
something.
What?
One of your production people was one of their production people and did say he knew that Kim would not do the show unless the kids were all individually getting paid,
Uh-huh.
and that money all went into like college funds.
Smart.
But then Kim, Croy, Ariana, and Brielle all made the same amount of money
Okay. So
that was
he was
split.
making great money
So he made
too.
good money too on that
Yes.
show. I mean, did she make more? Absolutely.
Well, I think I have a manager, and it's always easier for girls to make more money than guys, especially with endorsements and stuff, because a lot of people that like endorse like brands that are targeting are going to be women, because women are the ones that buy everything for the household, pretty
Right.
much, right? Like
Sure.
on average. So it's always easier for it would always be easier for Kim to make more money than Croy.
Yeah, but he kind of became her manager too
Yeah.
after he left the NFL.
I mean, they had I do know the same person you're talking about, and he said that she was making a ton of money
Yeah.
on things outside of the show.
Oh yeah.
But I also know that once the show's over and the hype is over and you kind of lose a lot of your audience, things, that money starts to fade. So I think in most cases, how good are you with your money whenever you have it?
Right.
Like whenever I did Housewives, by the way, I know people are like, Stephanie, you do not pay the bills. I agree. I do not pay the bills. Travis does. But I always knew that my time on the show to make money was very, very short. And I never thought that I was going to be I was 5 seasons. I was shocked I made it 5 seasons. I was like, if I make it 3 seasons, that's amazing. And then 5, who knew? But I was always really good with my money and saved a lot of it because I was never under the impression that it was just going to continue forever and that the show is going to continue forever. But I think Kim was probably more under the impression, because she had done it for so long, that this was going to happen year after year. And I'm sure whenever the show did get canceled, it was a huge surprise to them.
Mm-hmm. Well, and hey, Homegirl rode that train for as long as she
Yeah.
could. She really did. And she has a large Instagram following, but that doesn't necessarily translate into large ad dollars.
Yeah. Well, it's also, I think the more followers you have, the more money, that ads pay you. However, also it's a lower pool of people who have the money to use for different campaigns. So it's kind of like a good and bad with that.
So do you feel like she put pressure on Croy to keep spending the way they were spending after the money stopped coming in?
I definitely think that you get used to a lifestyle and it's hard to go back. I will say, I'm thinking of whenever I lived in Tulsa, how much money I had coming in a month, which is not that much. And I managed, but it would be hard for me to go back to that now because I'm used to spending more, right? So I do, and I was talking to my mom about that. Whenever the more you make in life, you kind of get accustomed to things. You have bigger payments, like with your house, your cars, and everything. And I think it just probably caught up with them. Also, she's always been one that wears, labels and to drive the nicest cars. And it's hard to keep up with that if you don't have enough money coming in to funnel to, for your lifestyle.
Allison commented on YouTube and said
he was a
yes honey husband, which I think is true though. But I think that's also hard if she was the primary breadwinner for so long and she was making a few $1 million a year.
Yeah. Trey and I have this conversation all the time because in a relationship, so somebody said, so Kim's wigs didn't pay off. I thought for sure those wigs would, me too. I thought they would bring in big bucks as well. But she
said Cashmere made $15 million one year.
She should be super fine because there's no way.
Way. You can only spend so much money on clothes.
Like with wigs, yes. Because wasn't Cashmere like her wig company?
No, that was her skincare line.
Oh, well, my gosh.
Which actually I heard had big potential. She just didn't follow through with it.
I always feel like skincare is really, really tough for celebrities because there's so many skincare companies out there. So many people have so much money behind them. And I think it's a really, really competitive and hard business to get into.
Well, what I heard was there were some ties there to people that started Kylie Cosmetics. And because she has a good relationship with the Kardashians.
Yeah.
And that some relationships there went south and she had to find new suppliers, and that's when everything kind of trickled downhill.
Okay, that makes sense. But I do think back to Croy in a relationship, you have to at least have one person who has a good head on their shoulders, and you can't have two people. Like Travis is that person who's like really good with money, budgets, make sure that we're always in a good financial spot. I think I would be horrible at that. But I think you're that person in your relationship. Like you have to have somebody who's always thinking big picture and
Yeah.
long term.
I'm the Travis.
Yes.
You can have a Travis and a Travis. You can have a Stephanie and Travis. You just can't have a Stephanie and a Stephanie.
Yeah, you can't. You can't. Like you have to have somebody who's definitely always thinking of the future and planning, and you have to have the financial, like somebody who's very, very smart financially and knows how to make investments.
Yep.
Stephanie, thinking back, it's so funny to see how independent you've grown into from season 1. Wasn't one of your first scenes with yes. Okay, I have to be honest. I told producers before the show started that Travis was very type A, and he always had like a list of things to do. Like not necessarily like a written list, but he would always like have a million things to do. He's very organized. So he actually did not write me physical lists, but they thought it'd be funny if he did. And
Nor does he expect her to change the garage.
No, and anyways, and I was such a yes person season 1 that I asked Travis to like physically write things down because that's what they wanted, and he had never lived it down, and he still to this day gets so mad at me about like having him do that. He's like, people think that I actually like wrote you chores, and I'm like, I know, and I thought it would be funny, and but I will
It'll
say
haunt
I
him
am
forever.
proud of myself because I was definitely, I think with our marriage, and I think Travis would agree when he listens to this, before the show, I kind of gave up my independence, my house, my job, everything that I had in Oklahoma to have more of a like housewife mom role. And it definitely put us in a very uneven yoked relationship where it sometimes felt like it was all Travis's money, and I was just like, hey, how much can I spend? How much do you want me to spend on you for Christmas? And I lost a lot of my independence, and I think a lot of my self-esteem whenever I was in that. I love being a mom, and I am grateful to be able to stay home with my kids, but the show for me really gave me independence and self-esteem and helped me like gain a sense of purpose, and I think it also showed me that I was stronger than I thought I was. Like I was very and I still am. I hate conflict. I hate fighting. But it kind of showed me that you can have conflict and resolution, and it's not necessarily a bad thing.
Well, and I feel like I remember when I met you, you did not care about making your own money. And
Yeah.
now you are a woman about your business.
Yeah.
You like,
Yeah.
you know, it's like once you get that, you're like, I like it and I want to do it. And you feel empowered in that. That's great. And I think that's a lot of the case on these Housewives shows
Yeah.
too, is they're making their money and it's like, okay, I can do this. I am responsible for this. That's
Like
good.
you're not just like, I wasn't just Travis Hollman's wife, which
Yeah.
there was a point where I felt like that. Like
Now
I felt
he's
like
Stephanie Hollman's
now he's
husband.
my husband.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. But yeah, it gives you like a sense of independence, which is really nice.
Absolutely. All right. So if you were just listening to the audio version of this, we are doing a live recording on YouTube. If you want to go watch us, you can follow us on YouTube at Weekly Dose of BS. But I want to see if y'all have any questions, any comments, what you got to say. We want to hear it. And we want to discuss it. Tony Lynch just wrote in and said, don't we all just adore Travis? Hope he's doing well after losing his mama. Let's talk about that for a second.
Yeah.
If you
I will. I was kind of waiting for him to say what happened to his mom yesterday. And then because I was like, I wanted him to have time to process it before everyone was like, I'm sorry about your mom. But no, he is, I'm not gonna say he's doing well because he's not. Every time he calls me, he is absolutely in tears and heartbroken. He lost his dad 3 months ago. And his mom, we thought that she was going to get out of the hospital. I actually flew home the evening that she passed. And whenever we were at the hospital, they were going to do a PICC line and she was going to go home. And we had all of these nurses that were going to come in and just really care for her and her husband, who is 93 years old. And I landed with the children in Dallas, and I had this message from Travis that said, call me ASAP. So I called him as we were taxiing in, and he was hysterically crying and saying, she's not going to make it. They told me to call all my siblings in. And everyone needs to say their goodbyes. And it was just, I feel so bad for him. One thing that his mom wanted was she did not want to pass in the hospital. She always wanted to pass at her house. So Travis and his siblings talked the doctors in whenever they knew there was nothing more they could do for her to unplug her from everything. And the doctors wheeled her outside the hospital, and so she was able to like breathe fresh air and die with her children around her. And it's just really hard. I feel bad for my husband. I also feel bad for my kids because they lost 2 grandparents in 3 months. Cruz was like, "This is the worst year of my life." So it's just sad. But we're a very strong family and we'll get through it. But I do feel bad for Travis. He is flying home tonight. And I'm so excited to see him because it's hard to feel like you're really fully supporting someone when you can't hug them and be there for them in that way.
And I mean, Travis is Mr. Fix-It.
Yeah.
And
yes.
I think these last few months, I mean, this is absolutely the hardest year of his life. And
Yeah.
we're not even halfway through it yet. It's like there is so much weight on his shoulders, and he's
Yeah.
trying to always be the guy that's handling it and the guy that's got it. And it's tough when you're that person and you're like, I don't have this.
Yeah. No, he is like, he keeps telling me, he's like, I don't have any, I lost both my parents. I don't
Yeah.
have any parents.
I can't imagine.
And I can't imagine. I have, I'm very fortunate. I have 2 grandparents still alive and my mom and dad. And I just feel for him. He has lost literally all of them. It's sad.
That's so sad. Well, I know you and him both appreciate all the prayers and the kind
Yeah,
messages.
thank
and
you. Thank you guys
I
so
know
much.
they're making a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you guys so much. You guys have been really, really amazing. His mom had been in the hospital for about a month, and I think he's spent all of 3 days in Dallas and then Mexico for his birthday, and then he had to leave from there to go back to the hospital. So it's been a tough month, but we're gonna get through it.
He said yesterday on his Instagram post, he was like, if you do nothing else today, call your mom. And I think that is such a good reminder.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. So like I said earlier, we are on YouTube Live. Do we have any more questions?
Oh, would you and your friends ever do a reality show, Trey? Your bar seems cool. I totally think you and your bar could do a reality show. You have some very entertaining friends.
We were pitched for this show, and it was between us and one other cast. Before they made the decision, they went with another cast. It was like a year ago, and I didn't really take it serious at the time. And then it ended up actually being a show called Real Friends of WeHo.
Oh,
the one that everyone hated.
No,
you picked wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know. The idea of doing a show around my bar makes me nervous because, I don't know. Just like drama in the workplace, but I don't know. Maybe I would.
You could be like the Lisa Vanderpump on it, like where you
yeah.
don't really get that involved. You have to be like the likable person.
Yeah.
Kind of like Selling Sunset, the main guy.
Yeah.
He can never really be unlikable because he's the owner. Like the owners can never be that unlikable. Like
But
they
also
have to be the ones that are like have their stuff together.
But knowing what I know too, like none of those employees could then in turn work at the bar. Like that filming a show takes up so much time. They're then not working. And they're serving me better behind a drink.
Yep.
But
amen.
Who knows? Yeah. What other questions do we have?
Oh my goodness. Any more? Are we good? I think we're good, Trey.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I had something scandalous to tell you. What was it? Oh, thank you.
Oh, yeah.
Storm just reminded us on YouTube. Tell us your thoughts on the RHONY reboot. You go first.
Okay, so I saw the trailer. I kind of like that they did something a little different, like they did the, I thought it was
very peacocky. It was very Gossip Girl.
Yeah, it's a little, it kind of reminds me of Gossip Girl. I think it's either going to be amazing or it's going to flop because people loved Old New York. I don't watch a lot of Bravo shows. I may see what Trey thinks, and then if he likes it, I'll give it a try. But I think that Jenna girl, from what I've gathered from my friend Daniel, who did my hair and makeup, like he followed her before, and he says she's amazing.
Yeah,
so
she's a badass.
I think that she's going to be really great. I don't know if she'll be like very dramatic. It just depends.
No.
I'm interested. I think sometimes season 1, you go in and you think you have to create all this drama.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't feel authentic. So it really depends on the girls, but they seem very young. They all are very beautiful. Um,
I mean, Ramona was too when she started.
yeah.
You know,
So I don't know. I'm gonna have Trey give it a try, and then Alexandra says
Alexandra said
it'll
it'll
be
be a
a
flop.
flop.
I agree with you, Alexandra. I think we filmed another show and we just white labeled it as Real Housewives of New York.
I
Like,
I wish that they would have at least brought back Tinsley. Like I get wanting to revamp something, but I do think there's something Trey always said you have to have one original or
yep,
like
to
somebody
anchor
that
it.
people know to anchor it. And I do agree with that. I think it's hard for people to get into an all new cast.
Yeah.
Because there are so many different franchises out there and it's hard for people to, put their time into getting to know all these new people.
Well, and I feel like we've all emotionally invested in these people's lives for so long.
Yeah.
We don't want to do it again. We're exhausted. Like, also, I feel like the audience, you mentioned this yesterday at lunch, the audience that started watching New York, a lot of them were around that same age when they
Yeah.
started watching. So you feel like you've kind of grown up with these people and
Yeah.
you're now in the same stage of life as these people. And
That's
like
what
Avery was in middle school when Ramona started. Now she's graduated and she's getting
Yeah.
a job. Like, I think that's the connection that this is going to miss unless they're trying to bring in a whole new audience. But then that makes me nervous. Like, are we just going to completely scrap Jersey and bring in a whole new set of people? Like, I don't want that.
Well, I was asking Trey, I said, hey, I'm going to be 43. He's in his 20s. And I said, I grew up, like, I remember OC when it first came out.
Mhm.
And I grew up kind of watching the franchise.
Yeah.
And then whenever I became a housewife, I stopped watching the franchise because it stressed me out because I was doing it. And now I can watch it again and it's not stressful. But I said, I feel like a lot of their audience are going to be people like me who grew up with them, right? And that stuck with them. I said, do you feel like it's as big in the 20-something-year-olds?
I mean, I feel like I also grew up watching them. Like when I was in like middle school and into high school, that's when like the Kardashians came out, Real
Uh-huh.
Housewives came out. Like, so you are already invested in these people for so long. The investment's been made. You don't want to make it again.
Yeah. So
We'll see, but
yeah.
I think it's gonna flop. I'm with you, Alexandra.
It'll be interesting.
They'll do at least 2 or 3 seasons just so there's not egg on their face.
Yeah.
But like,
and is it going to be on Peacock or
no, it's gonna be on Bravo.
Bravo? Okay.
And I think they're putting Legacy over on Peacock. And it's gonna be a girls'
Interesting.
trip.
Oh, I think it should be called Real Housewives of New York Reboot. They should have called it something else. I agree. I think they should have called it something else.
They should have, but they wouldn't
But
because
even like
it's the brand that holds the value.
That's true. But even like a brand new name, like Vanderpump Rules this year did so well. I think if Bravo created like a new, like younger 20-something cool, franchise and had like little offshoots of it that they could do in different cities, it wouldn't be a bad thing.
But you know why they didn't? Because those don't work. They've tried it and it doesn't work.
That's true.
Like Family Karma canceled.
Yeah.
What else was canceled?
I've not watched their new dancing show, but
I'm not going to. I'm not interested.
But I agree. I think
what
it's
is that
like,
about?
I think
Ladies dancing?
I've not watched it. I'm sure. Stephanie and Trey, would you ever start a YouTube vlog channel? Oh, we should totally start that, Trey.
I don't know if you want to know what we do all day. It's not that interesting. And I usually post it on my story. A YouTube vlog. What would we vlog about?
I don't know. I mean, we're going to start this just
well,
to see.
If you want to find out if we actually do, you can follow us on YouTube at Weekly Dose of BS.
Yep, exactly. I don't know, Corey. We'll think about it. We have nothing better to do with our lives.
Does Sheena do that?
I don't know. I've never watched it.
Interesting. I would feel like that would be against her
Thoughts
contract.
on Teresa Melissa feud? So I have not been watching this season, but I've seen something online about it. And again, it's one of those things whenever you do these shows that you have to talk, right? Like, and they've been feuding for so many years.
I'm over it. I don't care. Like they started Melissa's season with them feuding. I'm done. I'm over it. What more can they fight about?
I almost feel like Bravo needs to get them together because I think they both care about their job in the show and keeping their job and just be like, hey, you have to move forward. Like no matter what you do, you've got to move forward. We have to.
Yeah.
Like you have to be something different. Yeah.
That's another sinking ship over there in Jersey.
Have you been watching Jersey this year? Yeah, I have not.
Not into it.
I have not watched it at all. But I see I always see I think cliff notes of things going on.
Do y'all have any shows you're watching right now that are not Bravo related that you're really into? I started watching Good Behavior on HBO Max.
Is it good?
So good. It's from a few years ago, but it is a very good show. It's a scripted show. Tiffany said they made one called Southern Hospitality. It's like Vanderpump Rules. Yes, Woodbeck worked on that show and said it was really good, and I was like, I don't know about that because I don't really watch Southern Charm, and I watched it. It is very good. It is like Vanderpump Rules.
Okay,
but it's good.
One to watch.
It's a good show.
one to watch.
Yep.
Okay, well, no, I mean, I will say if you've not watched Jury Duty, watch that. It's
Oh, that's a
amazing.
good
It's
one.
so
Amazon.
funny. It's on Amazon or Freevee.
Which is, I think,
Is
an
like
offshoot of
yeah,
Prime.
which is the offshoot of Prime. And then what else? If you've not watched the one I was telling you about with Tinsley on
Yep.
Hulu,
Yep.
I think it's called what is it called again? Somebody's gonna tell me. But
Queen something.
Queenmaker, I think.
Queenmaker.
You have to watch it. It's very, very interesting. Somebody
Yep.
said, yes, Sheena does tons of behind the scenes stuff. Sometimes she has a vlog of the time Tom couldn't go to Ariana when her grandmother passed away that proved Tom was lying.
Oh, boy.
That is crazy. That is crazy. Okay, I'm going to watch it. We'll
wow.
find it and we'll let you know next week what we think of it.
Well, to everyone that joined us on YouTube Live, thank you so much for joining us. If you didn't, we'll do these, whenever.
Okay, we'll let you know.
Occasionally.
We'll let you know like 10 minutes before.
But you can watch us every week on YouTube. You can follow us on YouTube at Weekly Dose of BS.
You can follow me at Steph Hollman on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok.
And you can follow me on Instagram at Trey_Stewart.
Bye, guys.
Bye.